Trustee Barbie, and we keep freezing on you.
Please ask for a roll call. I'd like a roll call.
Melanie, can you see if he can move, you can move his,
Melanie, please, roll call.
Trustee Barbie, and hold on a minute.
can you see if you can move his PC closer to the Wi-Fi?
Okay.
The little white box in the room. Or actually, it's under the table.
Under the table?
Can you
Yeah.
hear me, Jim?
Have him sit in the village president's spot. See if
Okay.
that makes a difference.
There you go, Trustee Barbie, and try it now.
Full body.
Nah, he's frozen. He's,
Still frozen?
Melanie, he's frozen, yeah.
Melanie, why don't you
Melanie.
move him to another office closer to a Wi-Fi hotspot? Maybe
Which
that
is where?
Wi-Fi just went bad.
Where's another Wi-Fi spot?
My office, I don't know if you can get in my office. I don't know if you have a key to get in it. Somebody in Ken's office,
No.
put him in Ken's office because that worked
Okay.
last
Is
time.
that better? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, come on, you're breaking up. We're gonna move you again.
Okay, I'm not sure where you left or where you guys didn't hear me. I'm gonna start over on this topic. The Finance Committee is recommending the approval of beverage operator licenses FC 2007.
Okay, we did do that and I seconded it, correct? Now we're taking a roll call vote?
Yeah, do we have any discussion on this?
No, the training has been completed. Thank you.
All right, we can take, well, Melanie has to be back to take the roll call. So we'll hold on a minute. Usually this goes pretty good. There he is. Trustee Barbie, and turn your speaker on. There we go. Try it now.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, let's just go with
Hello?
it. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yes,
This is Major Tom. Can anyone hear me?
Go ahead, Ron, go ahead. Ron, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
go ahead. We have. Should we just move on with this, Tom?
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor and a second to approve the beverage operators licenses. If we can just take the roll call.
Michael Parrish, Walgreens, approved by police.
Ron, hold up. Ron, we're gonna take a vote. Go ahead, Melanie.
Trustee Olet,
aye.
trustee Saborowski,
Aye.
trustee Sell,
Aye.
trustee Gens,
Aye.
trustee Chadwick,
Aye.
President Birmingham,
Aye,
Trustee Barbian.
Aye.
very good. Trustee Barbie, you want to try the next one?
Yes, the next item is considering the board to awarding the bid for the 2020 street rebuild.
He froze. Todd, can he?
Why don't we just have him sit with Jason?
Yeah, let's do that. Ron, sit
I'm
with
okay,
Jason.
yeah.
Go in Jason's office. Sit with him.
That needs to happen.
Okay,
Must be his computer maybe, huh?
Yeah, it's got to be something with the computer. It worked last time. What would be guessing is somebody tried to clean the microphone. And
Ah,
that's what I'm guessing.
all right, there you are. Try to stay a little distance apart if you guys can.
Oh, yeah, you give me short share.
Jason, you may want to back up. So
I didn't
you
know.
are not on top of each other.
Okay, God,
All right, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah. Okay. Where we're going on, okay.
You're on
The
number.
next item on the finance committee is awarding the bid for the 2020 street rehabilitation program, which we had talked about in pre-budget and through budget. Could we have, Lynn, are you gonna give me some background on this?
Guys,
Len Recker is here to present.
yeah. Len, are you gonna talk on this a little bit?
Sure, I can, if everyone can hear me okay,
You
I'll
can.
proceed. As everyone knows, last fall, we discussed a multi-year street program. The streets that were selected for 2020 included the southeast quadrant of Eastway, Francis Court, Freeland Court, Doyle Street, and Bentwood Court. So we went through the design and bidding of those streets, as well as two drainage problem areas in the village, namely an area on Raven Drive and an area on Manchester. And we packaged each of these options and streets so that the village would have some options at the time of award, which is today. So in your packets, you should see a memo from me dated April 3rd that lists the two bids received from Payne and Dolan and Stark Pavement Corp. And then it lists 6 options that the board could consider tonight to move forward with one of the 6. And each of those options have different impacts on the amount of money that was budgeted in the 4 funds that are typically utilized for this project. That is the capital fund, the stormwater fund, the water fund, and the sanitary fund. And so really tonight, we can discuss any of the options that are presented. There's really just a couple of them that are beneath the dollars that have been budgeted for 2020, namely option number 3, and then option number 6. So I guess with that, I can entertain any questions anyone has relative to any of the options or the streets or drainage projects that were considered.
This is Matt. I just had a question. If, given where oil prices have gone, is it worth going out and getting new bids, or would prices not have really been adjusted that would make it worthwhile?
Yeah, in my opinion, although gasoline has come down, most of the asphalt contractors and others, procure their asphalt oil material for blacktop usually about a year in advance. So I don't know that there'd be any meaningful savings by rebidding this project at this time, Matt.
Okay, thanks. My only other, the financing aspect of it, namely, would it make sense for us to borrow the funds from the state? I think Todd had mentioned the rate maybe like 2.5%. And then what does that repayment structure look like versus taking it out of our funds right now? Just in this uncertain time, I'd like to see our fund balance, I guess, be as high as possible, just in case we need to move anything to a general fund with all the uncertainty. So I thought in this budget period, maybe it makes sense to look more closely at borrowing.
This is Ron.
Go ahead.
Len, I also, hello?
Go ahead.
I have a question, Len, if I might. When we did the budget and the preliminaries last October, what caused us mostly to come in over budget from what we expected to? Because we thought we were right on, I believe, during the budget.
Sure. A couple of things. As you know, we investigate the condition of the underground utilities under each of these streets that were in the program, as well as take pavement cores to determine the existing thickness of asphalt or base course that we have beneath any of the streets in the program. Well, this year on both Doyle Street and on Bentwood, we found asphalt thicknesses on the order of 2.5 inches over basically about 3 to 5 inches of base, which is a very weak or poor pavement structure for existing materials that were there. So some of our initial thoughts of mill and overlay on those two streets had to be changed to a little bit more intensive type of construction process that would establish the proper strength of both of those roadways, i.e. higher cost, more asphalt, more base repair, things of that nature. On Bentwood, we also had some drainage work that was in the mix. So I think in general, those are where we saw the differences between estimated budget costs and the bid costs.
I would also, thank you, Len, that explains my question. I agree with Trustee Sell initially with the situations that are going on right now, going into our general fund, to me is not fiscally responsible right now to cover this. I would rather do borrowing or just stay within our budget. I'm open to borrowing if we want to talk about all the factors, whether from the state or borrow on a TIF or whatever would be the best route.
On the other end, I would like to ask Todd precisely on that, because I don't know if it's time to do borrowing right now. I mean, although I think percentage is down, I don't know if we want to hit into getting in debt and then counting on that we're not going to have to, take a look at that. We know we got the money in the budget at this point. So that's my question on it. Todd, what are you thinking on this? You're on speak, yeah.
The other thing I can add is, make you aware of is Kristen's got the preliminary numbers for 2019, and the general fund's going to run about $200,000 worse than we thought. We thought we were going to about break even. We're going to use about $200,000 in fund balance for 19 in the general fund. So for that reason, and just being fiscally conservative, I would suggest we do option 3, which is a base bid and alternate A. Strongly suggest against doing any option that has the Manchester to Drive project in it, just because of the price and how many people that impacted. Raven Drive, we were impacting a lot more people. I'd also in doing or suggesting option 3, would suggest we either, that gets it about $200,000 under budget. We either use the, go keep it under budget or rebid part of Bentwood Lane. We either do the loop or the one side of the street or the other, one side of Northway or the other.
So what do you think of the idea, though, of borrowing money rather than budget?
Being fiscally conservative, I don't think now's the time for us to get more debt.
Neither do I.
A question from Sally.
Yes, Sally, go ahead.
With the market and the crash and everything that has taken so far, I would think that borrowing money right now may not be the best thing. Is that something that we can revisit maybe, Kristen, in a couple of months to see if anything is better? Because I feel like with the village probably has lost money through this last period of the market. I don't know if that's right or not, but so I'm a little bit leery about borrowing money at this time, but I'd love to come back and take a look at this, and see if that's a possibility for something we can do. But I'd like to hear what Kristen has to say about it.
Kristen?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I saw Donna's hand up. I didn't know if you were going to touch her
We'll get
first.
to her next. Sally, did you hear Sally's question to you?
I did.
Okay.
So yes, what's going to happen is, so we don't lose money in the market the way people talk about their pension and that kind of thing. But what we might not be able to do for this coming year is reach our budgeted amount for investment income because of getting lower returns on anything that we might be turning over. So one highlight, and I will talk about it later, is we actually were over what we had budgeted for investment income for 19, which helped us.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, we still came out, shy of breaking even. But so we could see what happens down the road, Sally, but I suspect what the outlook looks like right now is that we're probably going to come in under what we budgeted for investment income for 2020.
Okay,
I
can I
think
go, Jim?
her question, to tell me if I'm correct, Sally, it was, can we visit borrowing money later if we go forward with this out of budget? Can we?
Is that true, Sally? You wanted to know if we could investigate borrowing later on?
Well, first off, thank you for the explanation. I'm sure the people will appreciate knowing that there is a difference in when money is lost on the market versus what happens to us.
Okay.
I still would like to see if in a couple of months, if it would be worth going back to. Matt Zell brought up a good point about possibly borrowing money. And maybe in a couple of months, maybe that would be something. If it isn't, you know what, then that's the answer. Then no, it's not. Then we postpone it and see what we can do next year.
Jim?
Donna, hold on.
Okay, I just wanted to say, well,
I just want to
since
say, well, go ahead, Donna. You would know maybe some of this. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just wanted to say that I don't want to, definitely go in the general fund, and because we are already going to be over budget on this. I like the idea that Todd said about, doing half of it, half and half. That would be better. And I don't want the water bills to go up either. And I don't want to borrow money. Not right now.
Okay. Getting back to Todd, Ron's to this thing, is there any one of these ideas better suited? Todd has recommended one to us. Any questions from any of the other board members on any of the other ones? I would have to go along with Todd's thinking. Anybody else have any? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Todd, we talked about adding additional sewer drain on Doyle due to all the water damage. I know Rod was aware of that also, and I think he even went and saw the issues we're having down there. I guess I don't see that on any of this.
Len, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've addressed that, correct?
Right, we put some additional drainage structures down at the bottom of the hill on Doyle to basically be able to capture some of that stormwater flows much better than what's there now. So that
Okay.
is included in the base bid.
It is, okay, awesome, thank you.
Okay, cool.
I would agree, number 3 seems to make sense after hearing all the explanations.
And can we just explain number 3 again, what we're doing?
Todd, would you
differently
explain
by
number
using
3
number
again?
3?
Or Len, are you prepared to answer that? Otherwise, I got to switch screens.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, option 3 really is the base bid that includes Eastway, Francis Court, Freeland Court, and Doyle Street. That's the base bid. So those are the streets that would get done under that. Option 3 also includes alternate A, which is Raven Drive, which is a nuisance water problem for Rod and Public Works for many years with freezing and thawing along Raven Drive. And so base bid with alternate A allows you to come in roughly $200,000 less than what you budgeted.
Excellent.
Would we have to use some capital funds on number 3 at all? Underneath it, it said some capital funds are required.
Yeah, the capital fund expenditure on option 3 is about 180,000 less than what was budgeted.
So it's less money.
But Todd, I thought you said something else about, was it Basswood, or what was the other street? In the B section, you said we could do half like of Northway, or?
We were doing Bentwood on both
Bentwood.
sides of Northway. Len, what do you think? Do you think if we split that, it'd be worth bidding it?
I think one option would be what I would call a hybrid of option 3, where we could consider doing either the north half of Bentwood or the south half of Bentwood, either north of Northway or south of Southway, in addition to the base bid and alternate A, and still try to come in right at the budgeted dollar amounts for last year. But there is, probably would be the north half of Bentwood would allow us to do that. The south half has more structural problems with the pavement and more drainage work.
I like that one.
I do too.
Agreed.
My question, Ron, would be then to everyone, does anyone else have a preference to Matt's idea of borrowing money to using what we have in the budget? We've heard from me and Sally, but anybody else have a preference one way or the other?
I'm okay with borrowing money to get more roads done. It's cheap now, and we're in a huge road crisis the way it is. So if we had to borrow a little bit for roads, I would be okay with that.
Okay, I think Matt was talking about borrowing the money that we budgeted. Go ahead, Ron, Carl.
Thank you. Yeah, I think in these times that we're in, where we really don't know what the future lies, I'm very hesitant to go too deep into our fund balance or any of the capital funds that we haven't already budgeted for. So I definitely could see option number 3. However, it does say that some capital funds will be required to subsidize the storm fund. Do you have a cost price on that subsidy?
I think there's around 80,000 shifted from that we would use out of capital to stabilize the storm fund. I think there was a desire not to use any more of the storm fund than what was budgeted for 2020. So there's about $80,000 under that option 3 as best I can tell, Carl.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of confused because it says under the storm fund, we budgeted 113,836 and our estimate is 113,836. Why do we still need a subsidy?
Well, what I'm saying is to keep the storm expenditure the same as what was budgeted, we took some of the available capital dollars, which is reflected in the capital dollars, in that $847,000 item there under the capital. And so we're keeping the storm fund stable.
Okay, so the capital funds are already in that budget estimate of 113,836.
Well, the capital dollars needed are in the capital fund item versus the storm fund item.
Okay.
So
Carl.
Carl, are you, how are you feeling about using our budget to borrowing money?
I think times are too uncertain right now,
Okay,
especially if 2019 didn't come in as well as 2018 did, and we're already in the hole $200,000. I think we should be more conservative here. Hopefully in 6 months from now, if this all blows over, we'll be in better shape. Maybe we can talk to the contractor at that time about a few more roads. But for right now, I think there's just too many uncertainties. We don't even know where this is going to end. Last time I heard the peak on this virus is in Wisconsin is 3 to 6 weeks away. Now, if that's the peak, that's basically the halfway mark. So that's the trip. We went up the incline. Now we got to do the same thing going downward. And this could be months before things are back to normal. And I just can't see with, coming back to the taxpayers in October. Well, I won't be here to see it, but it would be very hard to come back to the taxpayers in October and ask for an even bigger tax increase. And when many of them have been laid off and might not even have jobs to return to, things are just way too uncertain.
okay, Ron, go ahead. I didn't mean to take this over from you. Go ahead.
Other questions in regards to option three? So, Lynn, I just want to make sure I heard what you and Carl were saying. That's why I'd asked the question of the capital fund. So there is some extra expenses that have to be put in even for option three. That's what I've heard.
The option 3, as shown in your memo, reflects all anticipated expenditures in each category in order to do the base bid and alternate 3.
And a question I have is, it leaves us about 180,000 extra. Is that correct?
Correct. You're 180,000 under on your capital expenditures.
Okay.
I believe option 3 is the way to go. I agree with what Carl said. We have to be very cautious at this point without knowing what's going to happen going forward. I value any other opinion from any other trustee on this topic.
Hey, Ron, it's Matt. Can I just chime in?
Go ahead.
So on the borrowing the money, I feel like I am being more conservative by saying we should borrow it. And that's because I feel like with the unknown in the world right now, cash is king. Maybe I'm not understanding, but I feel like having this $1 million or so in our bank is a lot more conservative than spending it right now. I feel like if we can borrow it at 2.5%, that's pretty attractive. And that way we have the cash on hand if there would be some kind of emergency that nobody's foreseen right now, versus if we just, write a check for $1.1 million to get roads done. That's where I'm coming from. I'm thinking I am being more conservative by saying in this uncertain time, borrowing the funds and keeping as much dry powder and cash on hand is the way to go, especially at the low interest rates we're seeing. And then as far as the roads go, you guys know where I stand. I just think we need to do as many as we can in order to get ahead of things. That being said, given where we're at with the uncertainty in the world, maybe this year's not the year to really push that agenda forward. But But yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the borrowing, because I've been hearing people saying that they want to be conservative and not borrow, but I just feel like it's the opposite for me in my thinking. Thanks.
That makes
Todd?
sense.
If we need money for a crisis, whatever this turns into or could turn into, we can actually loan ourselves money from the TIFs. The TIFs are very flush right now. They have millions in them. I mean, obviously, I'm concerned for the future impact that this is going to have on the TIFs. But for right now, we've got $5-10 million. Kristen, do you have any idea?
So Todd, Ron,
At least that.
I'm going to ask a question of Todd. So Todd, we could borrow that anytime if we should get in some trouble. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Could we use that to borrow for this road difference?
Yes, but you'd be taking out a loan. I mean, it's still a loan.
I think what he's saying, Ron, is that if we used our own budget as we budgeted and we needed a shortfall from our budget, we can borrow from the TIF to get our budget back in order. So the question I would have, do we need to borrow the money now to do the roads, or can we do that? And then in the summer, if we run into some trouble, it sounds like Todd is saying this money will be there for us to borrow ourselves. That's what I'm asking.
I have a question. My question is, from what I understand, the way Matt is talking about borrowing money, at what's the attractive part is the percentage, the 2.5%. Todd, is that what we would be? What is the percentage by borrowing the money from the TIF? What are we paying back to that?
Give me a second. I'll take a look at, or maybe Kristen knows what she charged the last one we borrowed for the TIF.
I do not know that offhand, but we have to have something that would be considered reasonable.
Yeah, what I sent you guys the other day in reference to the state trust fund. I can look at that. I think 2.5 was for a very short term.
Yeah, it was like 5 years, I think.
If I can get the exact answer.
Kristen, while we're waiting, if we borrowed the money and didn't fund out of our own funds, would these monies just then go into our investment account while we waited for a use to spend them on?
That's where it is. It's invested.
And do you know what our average annual return is on those accounts, about percentage-wise?
No, I don't have that calculated out to say for the year, but it was obviously good this year. So higher.
Do you think it was better than 2.5%?
Well, will it be for 2020?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, all we can, look at is historically. That's another, my other way of thinking is if I can borrow something at 2.5%, I'm going to borrow it all day and reinvest it and assume I can do better than 2.5%.
We can't do that. It's called arbitrage. We can't borrow money to make money. And we are going to have to spend any money we borrow in a specific period.
Correct. You have to spend it within a period of time.
Yeah, the feds watch that because they don't want municipalities doing that.
Ron,
Right, well, I'm saying we'd borrow it to spend the money on these roads, but then we wouldn't be spending our own money, and we could make money, interest or whatever return on our existing funds. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
I guess my question would be, for these roads, we've discussed going, I think the roads end, we have looked at number 3 that Todd has brought up. Again, I am not convinced that borrowing the money is the way to go. So I think we're down to finding out which way this board wants to go, borrow the money or do it on budget. I am not for borrowing the money. I think in time, we can borrow money to make our budget whole from ourselves. That's what I'm for, but we have the budget and we'll be under that, but that's where I stand. Thank you. Carl, Ron, Carl's got a question.
Other trustees to jump in on that topic?
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, hi. I might have a compromise, sort of. What if we were to, we borrow the money from our TIF, and if things look better in 6 months or towards the end of our year, after a couple quarters, things look better, we could just pay off the note with the money that we had set aside for an emergency. And if the emergency didn't arise, then we could pay off the note. And if the emergency does arise, then we have the money to cover it. And just a thought.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Todd?
That I could buy if that would work.
So are you
Go ahead,
talking
Todd.
borrowing money from the TIFs just in case we need it later?
No, I'm talking, we borrow the money from whichever makes the most sense, be it the TIF or from the state. And we pay off, we pay off option 3, or we use it for option 3. Now in 6 months, if things are looking better, looks like this pandemic is behind us, we could take the funds that we have and pay off that note and just proceed as we normally would. But if we are still in the midst of, who knows, this could turn into a depression, not just a recession, then we may want to keep that money as cash on hand and continue to pay off the note.
I guess we'd be paying interest on that note if we didn't need it and, be out more money.
Well, it'd be short term.
We can get money anytime we need it out of the TIFs if there's some emergency.
Okay, well, that was just a thought, maybe as a compromise.
So again, Ron, I might call the question. It seems to me the question is, do we borrow the money or do we use the funds as budgeted? And I think you need maybe take a roll call on that from the board to find out which way we want to go there first and then move forward.
I'd like to make a motion to the board. Should the board borrow the money to pay for number 3? Looking for an answer on that, and that will dictate what the second motion would be. Could I have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion is, should we borrow the money from whether it be the state or Todd?
Number 3 is under budget. We wouldn't have to borrow anything. So are you talking about borrowing $1 million when we already have the money, the $1 million? We don't need any extra money to fund option 3.
But I think Matt, were you talking about borrowing all the money for doing the road?
I was, because I wanted to have the cash on hand, knowing that we can borrow money from our own TIFs at any point is helpful. It'd be helpful to know what that interest rate would be, how it compares to the state's trust fund.
All right, thank you. Then I would say that Melanie, that the vote is on whether we should borrow money or use the budgeted money for doing the roads. 100%. All the roads out of budget or all the roads borrowed. Is that right, Ron?
Yes.
Okay. We have a first and second, Melanie. Good.
Trustee Siborowski,
This is to borrow the money.
Trustee Siborowski,
I guess this is too hard to answer because It all depends on what the TIF the interest rate on the TIF would be. It's the only way I could answer this question. If I had some idea, is it 4%, 5%? Do we have any idea? Todd?
It would be probably less than the state trust fund would charge us. And we can't, I don't believe we can table this because we've already sat on it for a period of time.
Wilson,
I agree with Todd. We do not get that high of an interest rate. Because of the things that we're allowed to invest in, it's just a low, steady rate. So it's not anything risky where you're getting some big gigantic interest rate. Over the year, this year we did better because we were able to reinvest in some things that were higher from like back when it was really crappy interest rates. So no, nothing is making that high of a thing. Nothing is making 4%.
Okay.
Things are all in the twos.
Okay.
But
so
how
then
much,
I would
Kristen, how much
say-
would it cost to borrow from the TIF, I think is what the question is. What would that rate be?
It would, that you have to do something that's like a going kind of rate. So you can't, yeah, you can't do that. But again, our rates are not so high that you're say, oh, we're going to get 5% return and borrow for 2.5%. That no.
guys, I just like
My
to
vote is-
put out there, we do have a motion on the table. Do we want to take that off? And
my vote is no.
no, your vote? Okay, go ahead, Melanie.
Trustee Sal,
I'll vote no too.
trustee Gens,
No.
trustee Chadwick.
Nay,
I couldn't hear her.
nay, no,
President Birmingham,
No,
trustee Barbian,
Negative. No.
trustee Olet.
Oh,
Okay. Then
Go ahead, Ron.
We're going with number 3. Do we need a motion to reaffirm that we're going to option 3, or by not borrowing, did we default to number 3?
did you catch that, Melanie?
No,
Finance
Ron,
Committee
you're
makes a
breaking up really
motion.
bad. You're breaking up really bad. Speak loud again.
Motion to approve, Finance Committee recommends to approve option 3 as listed. And this.
Second it.
Second.
Okay, we got that. And
Please
second,
give a roll call. Please give a roll call to approve.
trustee Sal,
I'm gonna vote no, just because I want to get as many roads done as possible, and knowing now that we've got access to cheap money we can borrow from ourselves, I'm gonna vote no, because there's not enough being done.
trustee Gens,
Yes.
trustee Chadwick, trustee Chadwick,
aye,
President Birmingham,
aye.
trustee Barbian,
Aye.
trustee Olet,
aye.
trustee Siborowski.
No.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you for all your input. That was great. The next item from the Finance Committee is the internal audit reviews of bills presented for payment. Trustee Chadwick had it this month. Every month we rotate one of the trustees to randomly pick P cards, checks, and ACH items to review and get the detail on. And Sally, if you'd like to give your report.
The items that I asked for, I did receive, and there were no surprises.
Did
or
people hear me?
anything. I thought everything was correct and appropriate. I thank the staff for doing it.
Hello?
Ron, you froze out.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Chadwick. Any other trustees have any comments on bills for presentment? Any other trustees have comments on the accounts payable?
No,
Any comments on the accounts payables?
no,
Okay. Finance Committee moves to approve the following. Accounts payable checks. 56436 to 56499. The amount of $494,478.29. Finance Committee moves to approve ACH payments 12840 through 12853. The amount of $567,317.72. Move to approve P-card purchases 1 through 39 in the amount of $77,252.89. Move to approve the total amount for this month, $1,139,048.90. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any questions on these items? Could I ask for a roll call, Melanie?
Trustee Gens,
Melanie, roll
Aye.
call on the accounts payable?
Trustee Gens,
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick,
Aye.
President Birmingham,
aye,
Trustee Barbian,
Affirmative.
Trustee Olet,
Aye.
Trustee Siborowski,
Aye.
Trustee Sell.
Yes.
Motion passes. Todd, question? Yes, Todd?
Melanie, could you go get Ron's the PC he was using and make sure it's turned off?
I can actually hear it. I hear that call. I hear that going.
Okay. Thank you. The next item on the Finance Committee, status of accounts, February 29th, 2020. We'll wait for a moment to update on that, if there's one. Do you have an update on the accounts status or not? Christian, is that? You didn't hear me, I don't think. Kristen, can you hear me?
Yes,
Kristen?
yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Update on status of accounts February 29th?
So I didn't prepare anything actually to speak on February being so the beginning of the year. I did want to talk about how we're winding up for year end. And so you know that the budget for 2019 had budgeted to use fund balance of $395,279. Am I echoing? Is it
no,
okay? So we did not, though we did better than that, we did not come in breaking even as had been really the hope, but we came in using about 200,000 of fund balance. We're almost done with the audit. There's still a few things that I'm working on with the auditors. They did not ever come to Village Hall because of the outbreak. So it's been trying to do it over distance and emails. Some of the, well, I don't know if you want to discuss the items that may have led up to that, or if you just know what has gone on throughout the year, despite the IT.
I'd like to hear, Kristen. Yeah.
the IT needs of the village, you know, we thought that we would be able to even yet overcome, but that would have, we probably would have been able to break even had that not all had happened. But additional items that I thought are worth mentioning is that we came in significantly under revenues on our court penalties and costs by almost 150,000. Our fire rescue, another 50,000 under our budgeted revenues. Also, we had increase in, we bought road salt before the end of the year. So that left us significantly higher in the snow maintenance account, which was over budget by 37,000. And that's 50,000 higher than in 2018. Pretty much those things we did have to accrue, which means we had to put to expense this year, even though the police budget, the police contract is not settled, because when it does get settled, it will likely have that there should have been or there would be a pay increase related to 2019. And this was one of the biggest factors, close to, it was 143,000 that we had to book that as an expense related to 2019 that would have to do with what we would pay them going back in time when the contract is settled. So that's something that the auditors had us do. And in the end, we're running about 200,000 under. That's pretty much, and then I guess if I just continue talking, realizing that with the stuff that has happened with the COVID outbreak, then we're not going to be seeing the citations and what the police officers are trying to do. We're not going to be seeing, we're likely going to be under budget in that area as well. The additional expenses, we're starting to work with FEMA and figuring out what costs we can have reimbursed down the road when this outbreak is over, as it has been considered a FEMA emergency, and we're on the list to ask to be reimbursed. We have to document it. It all happens after the fact. And in the end, what will be approved, they had started off saying, for example, with the election, that they were thinking potentially reimbursable items would be, the astronomical postage and printing costs and the efforts to get out the mailing of so many absentee ballots. They wound up coming back and kind of ruling on that and saying in the end, nope, what we're allowed to do for the COVID-19 FEMA purposes are the costs of us to sanitize the booths and to buy sanitizing things and to have, for example, the time of the DPW person who was in, sanitizing all of the voting booths in the in-between, but nothing to do with money or time or postage or things to be sending out those absentee ballots. So it's something that we will see down the road, but likely we are going to have not be having the revenues that we were anticipating to have in some of those areas for 2020.
Thank you tremendously for that update. Very, very well done, Kristen. Any questions of Kristen from any of the trustees? I see none. So that concludes the Finance Committee's report for tonight. Thank you, President Birmingham.
Thank you, Trustee Barbie, and appreciate it. Did any of the other committees have any meetings during the month? I'm just gonna kind of go see if anybody has any. Planning Commission, I don't think, Library Board, Carl, you had
I could
nothing?
just say on the Plan Commission, we did have a meeting. We were not able to bring it to the board meeting because we do need a public hearing, and it's about the addition over at Martin Luther High School. It will be taken care of in the near future.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna have just, if 2 minutes, Brian, as the librarian, if you have anything to say, library, what's going on over there, or since you guys have been closed down, or got any things you want to let the board know?
Nothing in particular. I mean, I think it's important just to note that we're all still working, staying very busy. We've done quite a bit of work to enable our staff to work remotely as much as possible, which has been a bit of a trick because a lot of our staff don't use they don't use computers to do any of their work besides checking materials in and out. So we've used some pretty creative solutions to package up project-based material for them to work on remotely or from home so that they're not losing hours. Because remember, 3/4 of our staff are hourly employees, and if they're not working, they're not getting paid. But we do have a couple staff who have elected to stay home without pay, which has allowed the other staff to take advantage of having that additional work to do. A couple of us are still working in the building. At this point, we don't have any information about reopening dates. So we're really focused on on reaching out to our customers electronically, connecting with them through virtual story times, Facebook posts. Our staff did a podcast recently. So really a good place to know about what our staff are doing is to just check the Facebook page or the library website. We want to make sure that we're staying connected, and one of our philosophies during this period is to make sure that the library is a better place when they come back. So we're learning a lot about how we can provide better services when we reopen, and we're doing a lot to improve the collection in the meantime.
Brian, thank you for the
Brian?
update.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Oh,
that.
thanks. Brian, didn't you do like some kind of a craft that you had outside of the building a couple weeks ago or last week? People
Yeah,
could come pick up.
the staff have been pretty creative. So typically our Monday afternoons have an after school family fun night that has a craft related to it. And then there's usually some kind of hands-on activity related to our Thursday story times.
Yeah.
So rather than forego that more interactive part of the experience for the kids, we just packaged up the craft to go and informed the parents and families that they can come and pick them up between 9 and 5.
I think that was really great. I appreciated that. I heard a lot of good things about it, and a lot of people like that virtual story time too. So thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a big learning curve, but we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, but you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else question for Brian? Okay, we'll move along. Public Works, Ron, did you have anything? If not,
Yes, President Birmingham, I just wanted to bring up that I think all the trustees, we've had a lot of resident concerns about the dump being closed, and although they're excited about the pickup that's going to be coming in the near future, and Rod appreciate that, but is there a way to?
Is anybody picking up?
We can't hear you well, Rod. This is Ron. It's very important.
Ron, hold it.
Visit this
Ron?
because we're
Ron?
getting a lot of negativity for closing the dump completely.
I can't. Ron,
Jason, can you try talking?
Yes.
listen,
Yes.
you guys are breaking up
Yes.
badly, Ron. We can't figure out what you're saying.
I can tell you what he's saying.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Okay.
Now, go ahead. Well, speak loud.
What Ron mentioned is our concern is the dump. a lot of the trustees are getting a lot of calls
Yeah.
and
I think we should why, we need to answer the question as to why some municipalities are open and we elected not to. It's a difficult question to answer to our residents.
So I would put your question you have to
The Sue,
our
right?
Public Works Director and the manager, as that seems.
Well, isn't it up to Sue, Jim? Isn't Sue the one that said it was closed? That we need to find out who is saying that we can't open. Everybody is very angry and they want it open.
Not everybody. Go ahead. Todd?
I've sent this to the board in multiple different ways. Because of social distancing and need for vital services and non-essential services, basically almost everything we do there, the major services we provide at the dump are all replicated with curbside pickup at this point with the yard waste.
Couldn't there just be nobody there, just in the shack, and then people just come and drop off their items? They don't have to, interact with them.
As of the date of Sue's order, she has the authority to close public places for public health reasons, and she has done that.
I know, and we're asking her to
She's the only
open.
one that can open it.
Right.
I'm not.
I'm asking to open. I mean, even if it's a few days.
Listen,
even
I
if it's a few days
understand
a week.
where you are, Donna and Ron, and a few of the board members on this, but if we want to micromanage, then we will force our department heads to open up things they've closed. And that's where I sit on it, is that they have done this out of their own field. And where I'm sitting is, I'm not going to force them to change it, but if the board wants to, we can try. I see Carl's hand up.
Can I just go first? And then this is not on the agenda.
Yep, that's true.
I mean,
Exactly.
you've already acted on this, so I suggest we agendize it for another meeting.
All right. We'll drop this.
But
Jim,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
what I wanted to do, to put it on the next agenda. That's what I'm asking. Put this
Yes.
Topic on the next agenda. It might be better by then.
We'll put that on the next agenda.
we can put it on, but I think we're gonna have kind of a constitutional crisis here, because you're gonna try to order the public health official to not
Yep.
not enforce an order which she thinks is lawful.
All right. We'll not discuss this any further. But Ron, I know you put in for putting on the next agenda. We'll see where that goes. And if that can be put on. Carl, we can't discuss it anymore. So.
I wasn't going to discuss the dump. I just wanted some clarification on the authority that the health officer has.
Well,
Is
I would
that-
like to wait for when Sue talks that we can ask her that question.
But is her authority granted through the proclamations we already ratified, or somewhere else?
Sue, are you on?
Yes, I'm on my cell phone now. For some reason, I got kicked off of Zoom and I can't get back on. My authority comes under Chapter 252, that I have the authority to do anything that would stop the spread of a communicable disease. And I feel that that's necessary under the circumstances.
Thank you, Sue.
What is Chapter 252? Is that a state or is that a
It's a
village
state.
ordinance?
No, it's a state statute.
Okay.
Sue, since you're coming up next anyways, I was going to have you talk during the Board of Health here. So why don't you give us a little update of what's going on?
Okay, just a few numbers. As of this afternoon, there are 2,756 confirmed cases in Wisconsin, so that doubled since last week. And of the confirmed, 29% are currently in the hospital. So that's about 790 people. There are 99 deaths, and there are more deaths occurring in males than females, and especially in people that have other health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, obesity, respiratory illnesses like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or asthma. And Milwaukee County has 1,416 confirmed cases and 59 deaths. For Greendale, we have 12 confirmed cases and 4 probable and 5 suspect cases and 2 contact investigations. 3 of our residents are in the hospital and 2 are in the ICU. So these people, again, are very sick. Last week when I talked to you, we were anticipating that one person would not make it, but that person did recover, still in the hospital, but is doing better. You may have seen people out and about now wearing masks, cloth masks. So the CDC and the State Department of Health are both recommending that people wear cloth masks now whenever they're out in the public. And that's because we are, as I mentioned last week, people are contagious 2 days before they come down with any symptoms. So if people at least wear a mask, and even if you're six feet together, the chances of those contagious droplets from the nose and mouth getting close enough to you are decreased by wearing a cloth mask. Let's see. We're really working closely with our most vulnerable populations, and that's the people in our long-term care facilities, our community-based residential facilities, and congregate living situations such as Ridgedale. We have confirmed cases there. We are notifying fire and police of any confirmed, probable, or suspect case, so that if they're called to that residence, they wear proper personal protective equipment. We consider EMS and our police officers as very vulnerable employees because of the nature of their work, and we want to keep them as safe as possible. We're also providing guidance for our Greendale employees and doing some help with our other local health departments, particularly City of Milwaukee. So our message is still it's safer to be at home. There's no effective treatment for this virus. There's no vaccine. So we want you to stay home, avoid crowded places, wash your hands, avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth with your unwashed hands. Maintain the physical distancing, the cleaning of the surfaces, cover your cough and sneeze and all that. The modeling for when this will peak really varies a lot, but I'm thinking it could be at least 4 to 6 weeks or 2 months before we see sort of the from the peak going down. So again, people who have chronic conditions are very vulnerable. So if you can't do this for yourself, do it for your friends and loved ones, family members, that you try to honor this safe at home order.
Any questions for Sue? Thank you, Sue.
No, yeah, thank you, Sue. That was very helpful.
Thank you.
Real quickly, I just want to backtrack a minute. Rod, did you have anything to say on Public Works? Anything to throw out there to us?
No.
I mean,
No.
Rod Demas.
Nope, we're just, we're on schedule for the collection for next week for picking up the yard waste, and we should be ready to go.
Very good, thank you. Okay, next, Public Health, Welfare, and Safety. I am going to ask in this section, I don't think there was any meeting, was there, Jason?
There was
Probably
not,
not.
no.
I would like to see if the fire chief, you got any update for us from the emergency central?
Sure, just real quick, because of the call volume that's going on in the county, they put another COVID med unit up and running. They do have 3 more in reserve if the call volume keeps continuing. Right now, we're averaging about 80 calls a day,
Wow.
COVID related in Milwaukee County. Probably 5 or 6 of them in the Greendale area. And the biggest concern, again, like Sue said, is in the long-term care facilities on Mockingbird, Ridgedale, and Clifton Court. You get one person in there that's affected or exposed, then you got to worry about the entire building. Right now, all our PPE equipment, a big shipment just came in from the federal government. And right now we're looking pretty good on that front. Again, but if this goes on for months, that's going to become an issue. But otherwise, we're doing pretty good so far.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Rosenau, anything, police department?
No, I don't think there's anything really new to report. We're working with the health department to enforce the safer at home order. We've talked to a couple businesses that were doing curbside pickup, and they are no longer doing that as ordered by the governor. We have seen increased calls from citizens reporting large groups that are gathering, either playing basketball. We had several young juveniles jump the fence at the high school to use the soccer field.
Wow.
So we're trying to enforce that. And we're still having retail thefts. We're still having drunk driving and other offenses. We're just trying to keep our officers healthy, use our PPEs, and just kind of maintain what we have currently.
Both of the chiefs, thank you very much for all that you guys are doing. I had used the police fire guys yesterday. My dad going to the hospital. By the way, everybody, he is fine, but I appreciate all that you guys put yourself through on doing this. Any questions for either of the chiefs? If they're not, we'll move right
I
along.
wanna say thank you too.
I don't think anything from Park and Rec or celebration. Of course, there isn't any celebrations. All right, move on to number 7, old business. I want to keep everybody abreast. We will do board and committee appointments next meeting. I will send to you this coming week list of appointees that are up from various groups that I'll be looking for. So look for that next week. And then if you would get them to me by the end of the week, we'll talk on those on the next meeting. So you'll have a list of that. So going to now new business. BOT 2022, discuss the necessary action regarding an ordinance to amend the Children's Garden Committee. Who's taking that? Sarah or?
Yeah, this was a holdover from our March 17th meeting that was canceled. Basically, it was to remove the one line saying it had to be 11 members. So then if she only has 3 or 4 people to begin with, that will be what it is. And then if there's more later, they can add more later. So this was recommended by our attorney just to take out the number of members. So it can increase as she finds more people.
Take a motion for approval. Ron, turn your speaker on.
Motion to approve. This is Matt.
Okay, Matt, great. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. We'll take, did you get the second? Okay, take a roll call for approval, please.
Trustee Chadwick? Trustee Chadwick?
I abstain, I'm sorry.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Barbian?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Siborowski?
Aye.
Trustee Sell?
Yes.
Trustee Gens?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Item number B, BOT 2024. Discuss the necessary action on special events permit requested from St. Alphonsus Church for Feast on the Blacktop. I think everybody should have got the report. Sarah, you?
Yeah, both this and the Memorial Day Parade were holdover from our previous meeting. Obviously, with what's going on now, we're not sure if these events will actually occur, especially the one in May, but we're just putting them on just for approval. They are run by different organizations than us, so they would be up to them if they want to have it, if there's no longer an order from the governor in place. So just kind of approving as is and knowing that it may not happen later.
Very good. I'll take a motion for St. Alphonsus first.
Motion
Motion to approve.
All right, Donna,
Second.
motion, and Matt is the second. Any questions, concerns? We'll take a roll call for approval.
President Birmingham,
Aye.
trustee Barbian,
Affirmative.
trustee Olet,
Aye.
trustee Siborowski, trustee Sell,
Yes.
trustee Gens,
Aye.
trustee Chadwick.
Aye.
All right, and then the same for the Memorial Day Parade. We'll take a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
Take, any questions on this parade? We'll take a roll call for approval.
I hope it happens.
Yeah, I do too.
Can I just give a point of interest?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, they are going to be doing the entire ceremony and everything right at the high school. They are not doing it at the memorial site.
Oh, okay. Interesting, okay.
Nothing there, Sally?
Pardon?
Nothing's gonna be there?
They're gonna walk down, have the parade, but everything's gonna be at the high school.
Inside the high school, yeah.
Like usual, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll take a roll call for approval.
Quick question. I'm totally for approving this. I just want to ask the question. I keep hearing that there's a good chance they're doing this June 1st. So I'm assuming if that happens, then there would be no parade.
Anybody get that?
Something about no parade?
Yeah, Jason, you're breaking up really bad.
I think he was asking if the order is extended, maybe.
Say that again real loud.
Sarah, could you say?
Yeah, I think he was asking if the order is extended through May, this event won't happen, which yes, will be the case.
Yeah, and then it's up to the Legion to cancel it or delay it. So, okay. All right, we'll take a roll call for approval then.
Trustee Barbian,
Aye.
trustee Olet,
Aye.
trustee Siborowski,
Aye.
trustee Sell,
Yes.
trustee Gens,
Aye.
trustee Chadwick,
Aye.
President Birmingham.
Aye. Thank you very much. Last item, P 2020-03. This is an affirming a proclamation already done, and this was for Jim Skaniak Day, who passed away March 9th. His funeral was, although the board hasn't met since then, we didn't have a chance to vote on this. The family did get the plaque the day of the funeral and had it displayed there, and they were very moved to get that. So I'll take a motion for approving this.
So move.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We'll take a first on Donna and second on who's second?
Carl.
Carl. Any question? We'll take a roll call for approval. Anybody else have a discussion item? No? Roll call for approval.
Trustee Olet,
Aye.
trustee Siborowski,
Aye.
trustee Sell,
Aye.
trustee Gens,
Aye.
trustee Chadwick,
Aye.
President Birmingham,
Aye.
trustee Barbian.
Aye.
Very good. With that, we'll move on to item number 9. Village manager, you have anything to say here tonight?
No, wait a minute.
Your speaker's on, off.
We're missing,
We're missing E.
we're missing E.
Wait a minute, what did I miss? D, we just did that. Proclamation for Jim
E is-
Staniak?
Number E is a resolution that we still have to deal with.
Oh, I don't have any.
It was on the amended
I'm sorry,
agenda.
I'm on the
It was
old-
amended, yeah.
Okay, the amended one has an E on, is that on the proclamation?
Did you want me to read that, Jim?
Yes, please. Oh, I have it here.
BOT
This is
2026.
the DOTD. Yeah, read what is on there.
Yeah, BOT 2026, discussion of necessary action regarding approving resolution 2020-06, ratifying the proclamation signed by the village president and municipal judge regarding setting a deposit schedule for violations of section 11.05 communicable diseases.
Okay, we'll take a motion for approval. Anybody?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Matt, and that second is sound like Sally or somebody.
Second.
Okay. Questions on this? And again, it's just to make this legal, what we did on this. So take a roll call for approval.
No.
Jim, I'd like to talk about this a bit.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, Donna.
I'm just not clear on what this really means, that where they're going to be finding people with groups of more than 6, or what is exactly? I mean, can someone explain it?
Yeah, you want to explain it, Todd, or?
And what brought this about?
Ryan, can you explain it to them? You're most familiar.
Sure. So the reason that I asked for this and I talked to the municipal judge was to be consistent with all the other municipalities around us, giving us the ability to enforce the safer at home order instead of sending people down to the DA's office to face a misdemeanor charge. It gives the village the ability to issue a local citation for violations that we would encounter. The DA's office is not really taking a lot of cases right now. Anything that we would send down would be pushed way down the road. This gives us again a chance to help the health department in enforcing the order set by the governor. So it's something consistent with all the other municipalities around us: Wauwatosa, Franklin, West Allis. Everybody around us is doing it. It's just going to be a local citation for violating the order. It gives us the option.
Todd, go ahead. You're off there.
Ryan, are you sure that they're all doing the same fine amount?
The fine amount's different. I believe in some places, this was the fine amount that was recommended to us by the village attorney and then looked over by Attorney Macy. So ours might be a little bit high. It is. And I just want the board to know, we're not issuing citations to groups of 6 or 7 juveniles playing basketball. This is our job at the police department to help the health department is to educate people on the safer at home order. We go up, we speak with people, we ask them to participate in a safer at home order, and we have not had any problems. It's the people that are out there not staying at home, committing crimes and doing things illegally. It gives us a municipal tool. So just so everybody knows, we're not out there writing citations to people that are walking or playing. We're educating those people, but it is a tool that we could use if we would need to.
Can you give an example, Chief, of when you would give this ticket? Like,
okay,
give an example.
Sure. So the other night we had a OWI that occurred in the village of Greendale. She was a refusal. She was out not participating in the safer at home order, not going to her residence and doing things that are completely against what the governor has proposed. So that would be a local citation issued to her for that. Like I said before, it's not people that are out there, gathering. We're asking people to move on and participate in a safer at home, but we're not issuing citations unless it's absolutely necessary.
Chief, I applaud you for doing this. As I've been around the cities the other day, just 2 days ago at one of the gas station over by Walgreens, 3-4 kids on motorcycles sitting in the parking lot with a group, all sitting there. And when I made the approach them on this being safer thing, they said this does not affect us. I mean, it was really very offensive, but this kind of thing, I think I would agree with you. And it may seem high, but this is all not meant for regular people. This is meant for this group. If I had the authority, I would have said, they just took it at that this was not an offense that we could do anything about. I think with the number now out there, people will look at it. That's kind of where this whole thing is at. There's a whole group of people, I just not saying young, there are people that come down to the village that really think this is a fake thing that just really isn't there. And I think we need something to put teeth in. So thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, just to mention quickly, it does give the health department the ability to, if businesses would decide that they're not going to listen to the governor's order anymore and do things that they're not supposed to do, it gives us as the enforcement tool for the health department to issue a citation instead of a misdemeanor offense down at the DA's office.
Further questions on this? If not, we'll take a roll call. Yes, Ron?
No, Jim, question.
Yes.
Jim?
Go ahead. Ron?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. I was concerned, as Donna mentioned too, about how we're going to apply this and to who, and what Ryan said made perfect sense. But are we really high in the dollar amount compared to our other communities? That's what I've heard. Do we know before we vote on this? I don't want to be higher than in the fine amount of Franklin, Greenfield Hills, Corners.
Then your question is them doing this, okay.
And I don't know, I'm asking that question of you, Ryan, because I don't know. I've heard from other people that this is the higher dollar amount. Good. Can you answer that?
I heard the same people, Ron.
No.
I believe
say that.
I believe we're consistent.
I did not say that.
But let the chief
I'm questioning the dollar amount if it's consistent with other communities.
I believe we are consistent with some. Some other ones are on a tier system where it's a fine for the first offense, a higher fine for the second offense, and then a misdemeanor on the third offense. I think we're consistent with a few. We might be a little higher than others. I don't have everybody else's fine. Again, I went off the recommendation of the village attorney, and he consulted the judge, and this is what they decided. I didn't set the fine.
No, I know that. That's I was just asking the question though. As residents will ask if it's consistent, then I needed to know that.
I would just say, yeah, I would just say if it was recommended by the village attorney and the judge, they're the ones that set the fine. The police departments don't set fines. We just enforce the law.
I recognize that. I think maybe it's still high, but I would rather be on the tiered system that you talked about.
I would rather have people obey the safer at home order and we not have to issue any citations. So, I mean, that's the reason we're doing this is to protect people from the pandemic.
Right.
I understand.
Other questions?
Well, the police kind of answered one. When I came here, I was hoping we could set up some kind of tiered system because I do believe the fine right now is beyond excessive. That if there could be a tiered type structure where the first offense is $50, second offense is whatever could go up from there. But to come up and find somebody, we say it's not going to happen, but we don't know what the future is going to bring. And I don't want to worry about getting a $500 fine because I'm walking within 6 feet of my wife down the street. So
that's not what it's used for.
So, yeah.
Well, we haven't used it yet, so I don't think it's going to be a good message to our citizens that we'd impose.
But if you're abiding by the law, this is a good message Carl. This is a message to send. This is a message to put out.
$500, Jim?
So what should
No,
it be?
it's
$5,
$6.
$10, $20? No, no bucks.
This is still America. People still have some freedoms.
Okay. Yeah, Todd, please. Todd,
Just to tell you, this also would apply to businesses. So if you make it a real low fine, as business owners get, I mean, they're just gonna open up.
I understand that. That's why I would recommend for a citizen, it's one thing. For a business, it could remain the $500 because if you made it too low, a business would just do the calculus and say, well, if it's only $50, I can make plenty of money tonight. So that's a good deal. But we could keep it as a business at $500, but for a regular citizen, I don't think $500 is even close to reasonable.
Chief, go ahead.
So the fine amount, it was set by the judge and it is just advisory, meaning I don't have to issue somebody a local citation. I can charge them with a misdemeanor, which if you look at the misdemeanor, I believe it's over $1,000 and up to 30 days in jail. So, I mean, this will be a local fine amount opposed to what could happen if we would just order everybody downtown.
So you're saying either way, I mean, you know, it's worse if you would give them a ticket or tell them they have to go downtown and go to the DA instead of giving a local violation, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Carl, please.
Well, you've got two different issues here. We could have a local ordinance. I just don't think the fine has to be $500. Well, what is it? It's like 600 something by the time they could get through with everything else. This is something that
And I think, again, Chief, if my understanding is correct, you already have the authority to do this.
Yes.
This is just all the communities are going in to individualize it according to their community, so that they don't need to, as you said, have them go to court downtown in future. Go ahead, Todd.
And my suggestion is you let us do more research and we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Does the first and second agree to that? We'll table this.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Excellent.
Not that it'll change, but okay, is that first and second agreed? All right, it's tabled. All right, with that, we'll take a motion for adjournment.
One more thing, Jim.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Before we adjourn, I'd just like to say something we've done for all the years I've been on the board and you. I'd like to thank Trustee Gens for his years of service. This potentially will be his last meeting, or I don't know how it works exactly. Todd would know, but Carl, thanks for 9 years, I believe it is, of
He's one more meeting yet, you know, right?
For his job and for the
He does have one more
community,
meeting?
and it's appreciated.
Oh, no, this is it.
Yeah, but I don't know if Carl's in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's why I wanted to say this. So I appreciate everything, and just stay in touch.
I appreciate you too, Carl.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words. I consider it an honor and a privilege to have served the great taxpayers of Greendale for the last 10 years or so, and it's been a joy to work with the whole board. You guys are all great, and it's also been a joy to work for the village staff, and I'm looking forward to many great things out of everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, Carl, I thought you had one more meeting. I was trying to give you one more day. I guess I was wrong, so sorry.
The next trustee may have something to say.
There you go. Yeah, I guess that this, because of the vote, throws this off on me, so. With that, any other Thanks you, Carl. Yeah, you've been on both sides, sometimes with you and me, but you've always been the voice that you wanted to be for the taxpayers, and we thank you for that. So I will take a motion for adjournment.
Hold on, Jim, we have citizens' comments first.
What's that?
Citizens' comments first.
Oh, all right. Do we have a citizen on that would like to make a comment? Any citizens that have a comment to be made? With hearing none, we'll take a,
Can I say one thing, Jim? I'd just like to thank all the poll workers and Melanie. I heard everything went really well yesterday. Everyone did an outstanding job. And Ron and Jason for helping all day. That was really fabulous. Thank you very, very much for all of your hard work.
so I see that because I needed it for a meeting, ICC this afternoon, that we had a total of 1,094 voters. 1,094 voters went to location. So that's what I got from Melanie. So yeah, I thank them all for doing what they did. So, and I think she said over 44,000 absentee ballots so far, 556 missing that didn't come in. So
Can I ask you, Melanie, how that worked at the 3 polling places? How'd you think it went? Or
I think it
Crystal?
went really well. We had great signage, so we didn't really have too much confusion for voters. They did, the chiefs worked really well together. Everything went really smoothly, had the recording units combined.
Melanie, what was the total, do you remember the total absentee ballots?
That we issued
Yeah.
was around 4,700. But we brought it down to 4,500 absentees because the people who did not receive their ballots in time voted on election day. So we had to cancel those ballots out, which brought us down a couple.
Okay. Thank you, Melanie. Your whole staff, excellent. Not knowing whether this was going to happen the night before or not.
That was a little crazy, yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll take now a
Motion to adjourn.
yeah, right. Second, I'll even
Okay.
second that tonight. We'll take a roll call for approval, please.
Trustee Olet,
Aye.
trustee Siborowski,
Aye.
trustee Sell,
Aye.
trustee Gens,
Aye.
trustee Chadwick,
Aye.
President Birmingham,
Aye.
trustee Barbian.
Aye.
All right.